Recording has begun.
Recording has begun. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Shahzad Hussain and I live at 20 Primary Way, Bradford in Undercliff. And now it's been 149 days. 149 days since my brother's been kidnapped from my care by the authorities without us knowing anything about him, where he is, what kind of condition they're holding him under. They've basically just abducted him, absconded with him, human trafficked him from my care, refusing to let me see him, refusing to let me know, refusing to let us know anything about him, and equally refusing to let him know anything about us to give us any reassurances. They're basically looking to traumatize him in order to take advantage of the fact that he's got mental health problems, and in order to take control of him for their benefit. They're not acting in my brother Talib's benefit. They're definitely not acting in anybody else's benefit other than their own benefit, and are continuing to hold him hostage like this. And all the authorities are involved. The Bradford Council's involved. Well, is the architect. No doubt the health authorities involved, but I don't have any involvement with them as it presently stands. Christopher Browell, who's the care coordinator, is working for the health authority, which is Bradford District Care Trust. But they don't have any involvement other than because they discharged him in August 2021, but he's still lingering on because Christopher Browell, the social worker in Bradford Council, wanted them to continue to keep an eye on him so they can continue to monitor me, because it's mainly about monitoring me. They were looking to stage events to monitor me, to encourage me to kill my own brother, so then they could have taken advantage of the situation and look to vilify me. That didn't happen, so eventually they ran out of time, and they eventually had to just kidnap him. Now they're holding him hostage without any kind of legal oversight, without kind of any legal framework in place. They've simply just kidnapped him and taken him. Now it's 149 days. I have absolutely no idea what's going on. I'm contacting the social workers every single day. I'm contacting the local authority solicitor every day. I'm also contacting the housing association solicitor. The housing association are part of it. They are part and parcel and party to the fraud that's taking place. But more importantly, it's the courts and tribunal services, Bradford County Court. It doesn't really matter if it's county court, magistrates court, or the Crown Court. They're all part of the same enterprise, run by or spearheaded by Nick Goodwin, who was previous, as I've stated, who was the previous public guardian who the local authority bought off in order to end my mother's life and also take away my brother's rights under the lasting powers of attorney that is bestowed to me. So we've done everything legally and lawfully. Right? My brother has capacity, signed over his lasting power of attorney to me. The local authority can't accept this because it undermines their criminal conviction against me, which was itself a clear and outright fraud. But it allowed them to plunder our family trust fund and take away all our money. So this is just quite clear fraud. It's been a fraud and a deception from day one, and they've got the recruited the judges. And now in this particular case, it's become apparent to me what's happening now. This case has now been wrangling on for such a long time. It started, I think, at the end in March 2022, and then got dropped, and then reinstigated in July last year, 2022. Yeah, it got reinstigated in July 2022. Only for it to be continuing to be wrangling on, and yet through this time period, what's happened is that it's become quite clear that litany of errors and failures and fraud and deception is undeniable now. And so rather than dealing with this, what they've done is that they bought off the judge to put a civil restraint injunction upon me for making any further applications, and it's very vague and abstract. Ultimately, what they're trying to do is they're trying to railroad me into utilizing my legal aid entitlement to get a solicitor that's supposed to represent me, but in reality he's going to be working very closely with the courts, the local authorities, and everybody else to my detriment. That's exactly what happened previously in my mother's case. This is just a repetition of what happened previously in the Court of Protection, which just highlights what kind of fraud that was taking place there. Similarly, they had restrictions on my ability to communicate and represent myself in court proceedings, forcing and railroading and directing me to get a solicitor, only for them to then subsequently commission and recruit the solicitor for their benefit, in order to then, to my detriment, then railroad the fact that I lack mental capacity and that my liberties were going to be deprived of me. You see, it's all just such a fraudulent enterprise. It's sickeningly fraudulent and so obvious now. I mean, like I said, if it's just the first time, you give people the benefit of the doubt, and in that benefit of the doubt, people's lies and deceptions can remain covered up or concealed. But over time, the lies start to contradict themselves. And over time, as you can see, over time, the lies become very prevalent. And that's exactly what's happened under these circumstances. Their lying, cheating ways are getting prevalent, and it's like they're contradicting themselves. And it's just a litany of failures, and now they simply don't want to speak to me. They want to basically charge me money to, this is just a malicious enterprise where they're looking to charge me over £275 for me to seek permission from them. So it's just like, how ironic is that? You want me to pay you £275 to slap me in the face, to commit an act of fraud and spit in my mouth. That's what you want me to do, because ultimately not one application of mine is being successful. Why should I pay any money when I know the fact that every single application that I'm making is to counter the fraud that's been under play? The Housing Association don't have a case. They're basically taking instructions from Bradford Council to get us out of the house, because it all kind of, everything went tits up when we returned. And now all of a sudden that me and my brother did return, they were like obviously trying to find one way or another way to try to, manipulate the situation in order to get an advantage. And it's just pathetic, the lengths that they're going to. They're going to extraordinary lengths of buying off the judges, buying off the courts, and now buying off the police, and it's just despicable and deplorable. And at the end of the day, every single day that goes by, it's now 149 days that my brother's been taken like this, without any recourse, without any protection, without any safeguards in place, because they use those words, safeguarding, adult protection. They use those words and then weaponize those words for their own benefit and to cause harm, suffering, and oppression. They just have a monopoly on words. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to take a monopoly on words to effectively silence you. So I can't say this is a safeguarding issue, because safeguarding is done by the local authority. I can't say this is an adult protection issue, because adult protection issues are done by the local authority. But that's exactly what these are. These are safeguarding concerns that the local authority are committing and abusing my brother, and violating his rights, violating my rights, and holding us hostage like this, and simply sitting on the fence now, looking to destabilize the situation so they can look to plunder and profit. Here, do you think I'm stupid? I know exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to pose into this situation of perpetual uncertainty while you hide behind the corporate veil, have yourselves protected while committing behind the corporate veil, committing acts of villainy and torture and villainy, knowing the fact that you're excused from any kind of accountability and retribution, because the fact that you have this you want to rely on the corporate structure, the corporate entity, to commit your acts, commit some acts of violence, or still acts of violence, whether committed directly or through corporate structures. It's still an act of violence. So that's exactly what's happening here. They're committing acts of violence and aggression and oppression against us, and continuing to do so to their benefit and to our detriment. Today is the 4th of January 2024. It's been 149 days that I've seen that my brother was taken from here, or 450 days, whichever way you want to calculate it. And there's absolutely no idea of what's going on. Nobody's trying to keep us informed. The police are obviously selling their services now to the local authority, who are desperate to try to cover up their own failures in adult social care, but particularly the mismanagement of public funds. And me and my brother are becoming the victims of this. Similarly, in the county court case, the county courts once again have been highlighted as committing fraud. I've caught them red-handed, both the court system and the judges in this case. And rather than owning up to what they're doing is instead just disregarding everything I'm saying and putting shackles and restrictions upon my ability to communicate. Now, I'll tell you now exactly what's going on. They wanna have charged me with contempt of court, because I've been telling that the judges are fraudulent crooks. So they're trying to find a way or stage events to try to get me for contempt of court, so then they can send me to prison, and then they win. That's ultimately what they want to do. That's what they tried to do last time. So I'll have to just remain wise to it. But this is just deplorable and despicable of them to, abuse the position of authority and power and basically set me on stage events, and by buying off the judges. There's no justice if the judges are whoring themselves to the local authority. And that's fine. You keep on, the judge, God's no keep on saying, that's very scandalous. Of course it's scandalous. What you're doing is scandalous, not what my allegations are. It's not my allegations that are scandalous. Anybody can make allegations. No doubt, as you can appreciate now, today is a day when the Jeffrey Epstein list has been released, and everybody's on there. Many famous people are on there. Now, people can make allegations regarding this. Now, you can't just say, that's just scandalous, without it being investigated. It's completely horrendous what the position that they placed me and my brother into. But hey ho, we'll just continue to carry on, and we'll see what happens. Today is the 4th of January 2024. 4, and the time is around about 9:15, and I'm not suicidal. I'll never kill myself, and this is all. And if any harm comes to me, as a direct result of the local authorities' machinations, plotting and planning and scheming in order to shut me up because they know the fact that they are all committing fraud and corruption. I'll leave it there. Allah Hafiz.